On The Explainer today, we'll take a look at Eurobonds. What are they? What are their benefits and risks to the government and investors? Professor Uche Walike, a professor of capital market, joins us from Abuja to tell us about this. Good evening, Prof.
Yeah, good evening, Ini. It's my pleasure.
Good to have you too.
Yes, of course, you know, bonds are debt instruments, and Eurobonds are international bonds. They are foreign bonds that are issued by either the government or corporations outside the country. Okay, they are issued outside the country, and these bonds are denominated in currencies, you know, other than that of the that of the issuer. Of course, interest and principal repayments are conducted, you know, in foreign currencies. Now, despite the name, you know, Eurobonds, it's interesting to note that the euro in the name has no direct connection with, you know, with the European economy, or well, with the euro currency. The euro there simply means external. As a matter of fact, Eurobonds can be denominated in any foreign currency. That's why you hear often hear euro-dollar bonds. Euro-dollar bonds are bonds denominated in dollars, which the type we have been issuing here. And then you also hear euro-sterling bond, euro-yen, meaning the issuer is borrowing yen. So it can be denominated in any currency and issued in the international capital market. I think it's also important we distinguish between Eurobonds as international bonds and other types of foreign bonds. We have the ones we call Yankee bonds. Yankee bonds are bonds issued in the United States, and of course they are issued in US dollars. They're different from Eurobonds in the sense that Yankee bonds come within the jurisdiction of the US Securities and Exchange Commission that of course registers it and regulates such issuances. So it has some sort of restrictions as opposed to Eurobonds. I'm sure you've also heard of samurai bonds. Samurai bonds are the ones issued in Japan. Or recently, there was a time the government tinkered with the idea of even issuing panda bonds. Panda bonds are bonds denominated in Chinese yuan, and of course, you're issuing that in China. So with these other foreign bonds, you have to issue them in a particular, outside your country, in a particular economy, and denominated in that country's economy. So these decisions are important, and that's also why I think that for us in Nigeria, it's time we diversified our suite of foreign bonds, to possibly include these other ones, like the panda bonds, for example, that have been known to be cheaper than, euro bonds. Because if you look at the current composition of our external debts, if you look at the commercial ones, the foreign bonds, it's just the euro bond. And we have about 10 of them. The outstanding ones are now 9. We recall we redeemed one, the 500 million, last year. And then the diaspora bond of 300 million. Now, if you take the diaspora bond and the 9 outstanding euro bonds that we have, that's about $11 billion. And that represents just about 33% of our external debt. But it is accounting for over 50% of the external debt service, which is why I would advise that in the future, the government should also consider diversifying the suite of foreign bonds in favor of the ones, other ones I mentioned that appear, cheaper.
But Prof, what are the risks? What are the risks? Yes. What are the risks to investors? What are the risks to government in all of this?
Yes, before the risk, of course, we talk about the benefits. What are the benefits for governments? Of course, you are assessing foreign currency. For corporations, the same. They're also looking at foreign currency. They want to get, foreign currency. For government, of course, that will improve our external reserves, help balance of payment issues, and so on. But for corporations, particularly multinationals, you'll find that they also use that to do matching. They create foreign currency liabilities to be able to match with their foreign currency assets. That's in asset liability management, if you like. And of course, the risk on the part of the issuer is usually the exchange rate risk, okay? Because of course you're borrowing in foreign currency. Part of why our external debt service has jumped now, especially in Naira terms, is because of the devaluation in the Naira and depreciation in the Naira too that we have experienced, over time. And on the part of the investor, my advice is, of course, real bonds come with credit ratings. They're often rated. So it's for investors to pay particular attention to the rating of the issuer, rating of the bond itself, to be sure of the risk profile and to be sure of the quality of such bonds, before making investment. So the rating agents are always there, to guide with respect to risk. As I said, the major risk with respect to Eurobonds, has to do with exchange rate risk. But for an investor in Nigeria, for example, doing Eurobonds, of course, that will provide some protection against the exchange rate fluctuation. It will provide, if you like, it can also provide a means of storing value because you are investing in Eurobonds and both the interest and the principal repayment will come in dollars. So some see it as a way of storing wealth. So it's important for investors to take into account, not just the benefit but the risks before making any investments. And for us in Nigeria, the advice is always there. We should try to diversify and not focus on Eurobonds because of the costs associated with taking Eurobonds.
All right, thank you so much, Professor. Professor Uche Waleke is a professor of capital markets, and he just educated us on Eurobonds. Thanks a lot, sir. Well, that's where we draw the curtains on the program today. Thank you so much for watching. It's been Capital Market, and I'm Ini John Mekwa.